Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tip. It's been a little while. Holiday break was nice for me. Got to relax a little bit, which was super nice. Going back to recording now because we're coming up to week 12 pretty soon. But before that, we got to close out week 11. So this video is here to do just that. Help you secure that win in week 11. The first bit is going to be for pretty much all leagues. We're going to talk about players that can give you points on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then we're going to go into some goalies that are possibly going to be playing on Sunday to stream. Then we're going to go into individual categories, 4 categories leagues, to help you secure the win in each category. Now, before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Twitter at FantasyTip, constantly putting out updates, guys, to help you win each and every week of the fantasy hockey season. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and let's look at the schedule for this weekend. So as you can see here, guys, on Friday, there's 8 teams playing. On Saturday, there's 18. And Sunday, there are 16. So assuming that no more games get canceled, this is what the weekend looks like. So in all likelihood, you can fit players in on Friday and possibly on Sunday too. You just got to look through your team and see what you can actually fit, right? If your lineup's full on Saturday, don't be picking up guys for Saturday because, I mean, there's no point, right? So just try to see what you can fit in your lineup and then you can match up to what you need. I'm going to try to get you players that play 2 games. So if you need a player that plays Friday and Saturday specifically, there's only one team that has that schedule, unfortunately. Ottawa did, but they had their Friday game canceled. So the only team that plays both Friday and Saturday is Edmonton. So if you want to stream somebody, the number one guy to stream, assuming that Puljujarvi stays on the COVID list, is Warren Foegele. Puljujarvi, as of right now, is not practicing, so Foegele could at least get a game or 2 playing alongside Connor McDavid on the top line, which is definitely an amazing place to be. Then I would go Evan Bouchard. I know usually I only put forwards here, but since we're only talking one team, Bouchard is actually the next best guy to pick up at this point because Bouchard at least does get second power play time and puts up some decent peripherals. Kailer Yamamoto plays on the second line with Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. He hasn't been that good this year, but the deployment is there, so he could potentially put up some points. Duncan Keith is the next guy. And as you can see, Duncan Keith sucks. So the rest of this list, unless you're insanely desperate in like the deepest of leagues, ignore these guys and probably go for guys in the Friday, Sunday streamers or whatever. But yeah, Duncan Keith, Perlini, McLeod, and Turris, those 3 guys make up the third line right now. And Duncan Keith is not that great. He'll put up, a little bit of a floor, but really not options that I like a lot. Moving on to Friday and Sunday games. So if you were hoping to get someone for Friday and Saturday, but Foegele, Bouchard, Yamamoto are taken, I would probably, just go for someone who plays Friday and Sunday, assuming you can fit someone in your lineup on Sunday. There are a few teams that have those days that they play. Those teams are Anaheim, Detroit, the Devils, the Rangers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Washington Capitals. So the number one guy I would pick up is probably Rickard Rakell. Plays on a pretty good second line with Trevor Zegras and Sonny Milano. They went a little bit cold before the break, but they're honestly some pretty good players, and I don't see them staying super cold. They're very good players. And Rickard Rakell also shoots the puck a nice amount, so he's definitely got a pretty safe floor. Then I have William Karlsson, and since he came back, he hasn't exactly been the best, but he is playing on a pretty good line with Riley Smith and Marchessault, and the opportunities definitely should come for Karlsson. I'm not worried about him at all. Then I have Ryan Getzlaf of the Anaheim Ducks, and he had an amazing start to the season, and went a little bit quiet since his injury. But he is still getting top line time with Troy Terry, so he can definitely find his game again now that he's had a little bit of a rest. I think Getzlaf makes for a pretty good add. Then I have Jesper Bratt, who's been the best player on the Devils so far, playing on the top line with Hischier and Zacha. And as you see here, Hischier and Zacha are also on this list, some of the best guys to add for this weekend. Honestly, they're not necessarily the best players to add, but there's not that many quality options for Friday and Sunday, and so they're not so bad. I also have Sonny Milano there, who, like I already said, plays with Rakell and with Trevor Zegras. He also went a little bit quiet before the break, but I don't expect him to stay super quiet for long. He's been showing this year that he can be pretty good. Then I have Robbie Fabry of the Detroit Red Wings, and he is this high because Raymond is in protocol, COVID protocol that is, and therefore Robbie Fabry is both on the top line and the top power play in Detroit, and I expect him to do pretty well. Then I have Capo Kakko of the Rangers, and he's playing on that top line with Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. That's a pretty good place to be. Then I have Nicolas Roy of the Vegas Golden Knights, and he's only on the third line right now, but he's actually been looking pretty good lately, so someone I don't mind picking up. Then I have Taylor Radish of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And for anybody watching on Thursday, the Lightning also play Thursday night. So if you have same-day ads and you're watching this on Thursday, adding a Tampa Bay Lightning player is an awesome idea because you won't get 2 games. You'll actually get 3 games out of Tampa Bay. So Taylor Radish is playing on the top line with Steven Stamkos and Ondrej Palat. So that's definitely a good place to be. Not getting top power play time, but top line with Stamkos, I kind of like that deployment. Then I have Garnett Hathaway, who's only playing on the 3rd line with Lars Eller. However, if you're in a hits league, the dude hits a lot and therefore has a really safe floor. Then I have Matthias Janmark, and he's only really viable if Mark Stone misses again. Mark Stone missed the last game that Vegas played, and Janmark played on the top line with Pacioretty and Stevenson. So if he does end up playing there again, he makes for a decent streamer. Then I have Dawson Mercer of the Devils, who's playing only on their 3rd line as their center. So not my favorite deployment at all, but he has not been too bad this year if you're really desperate for a streamer. All right, so what if you want a player that plays both Saturday and Sunday? Well, there are only 2 teams that meet those requirements, and that's Boston and Chicago. Both play both Saturday and Sunday, and there are no other teams. Assuming that there's no cancellations, these are the players that I would pick up. So the first guy on the list is Jonathan Toews of the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's playing online with Brandon Hagel and Dylan Strome, which is not a terrible line. Obviously not the best line in the world, but he's also getting top power play time, and he's been looking a lot better as of late. Then I have Henrik Borgstrom, believe it or not, and he's actually going to be centering DeBrincat and Patrick Kane, so that's definitely a good place to be. Borgstrom could honestly make for a really sneaky ad for those Saturday and Sunday games. Then I have Craig Smith, who plays on the 2nd line generally next to Charlie Coyle, so that's an option as well. Next on the list, I have Erik Haula of the Boston Bruins, who's currently centering the 2nd line because Charlie Coyle is on COVID protocol. Because of the shortened protocol, though, it's possible that Coyle does come back for the Saturday and Sunday games. However, that's probably unlikely, so I think Erik Haula is going to be the guy to add for this weekend. Nick Foligno is there on the list, not because I love his deployment in 5-on-5, but because he does get to play on the power play with Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak, and because of that, he has an opportunity to put up some points. And after Craig Smith, I have Dylan Strome and Brandon Hagel, both on the 2nd line with Jonathan Toews, which is a pretty decent place to be. Then I have Dominic Kubalik and Kirby Dach, who are both on the 3rd line, along with Kurashev. If you're super desperate, you can also add. All right, so what if you need some defensemen for this weekend? Well, first on the list, I have Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers, who I already suggested earlier for those Friday and Saturday games. He's probably the best defenseman you can add for this weekend, though, just because he has a pretty safe floor, and he's been doing pretty well all season. Then I have Zach Whitecloud and Cam Fowler. Both those guys have a pretty decent floor because they put up some peripherals. They don't necessarily have the highest ceiling, but their floor is there. Same thing with Nikolai Hague. He doesn't necessarily put up a lot of points, but he has been getting some power play time lately with Pietrangelo out, which is nice to see, and he has a pretty safe floor night in and out. Then I have Hampus Lindholm of the Anaheim Ducks, who's been having himself a pretty nice season this year, is not currently getting power play time, but he's still seemingly putting up a point every now and then and putting up a little bit of a safe floor. Then I have Jamie Drysdale of the Anaheim Ducks. Hasn't been that amazing this year, but he is still top power play, and the opportunity is definitely there for him to put up points every single night. Then I got Philip Hronek of the Detroit Red Wings, who constantly gets a good amount of power play time and has been having himself a pretty decent season. Then I have Braden McNabb of the Vegas Golden Knights, a lot more valuable if you're in a hit league. He has a very safe floor. He blocks and hits a very nice amount. Probably won't score you a point, but the floor is there. Then I have Dylan Colin of the Vegas Golden Knights, and because Pietrangelo is out right now, he's been seeing some power play 2 time alongside Nikolai Hague, which is pretty good. Then I have Damon Severson of the New Jersey Devils. Sees power play 2 time, has had an okay season, but definitely not my favorite option. Then I have Ryan Graves, who plays alongside Dougie Hamilton, which is a good place to be, but it's definitely not my favorite option. You got to be pretty desperate to grab Ryan Graves. And last but not least is Nick Jensen, who can sometimes have a safe floor because he does put up some peripherals now and then, but really not my favorite option. Only grab him if you're desperate. So what if you need a goalie to stream for Sunday? Well, the number one guy for me would be Jeremy Swayman versus the Detroit Red Wings. He's a very good goalie, and he's had some rough patches this year, but overall, I think he's going to be perfectly fine against Detroit. Then I have Maxim Lagacé. Because Vasilevsky and Elliott are both on COVID protocol, there's a good chance they're not back in time for Sunday's game, and if they're not, Maxim Lagacé makes for a pretty decent streamer against the Rangers. Then I have Casey DeSmith of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And there's a chance, again, that Jarry could be back, but if he's not, DeSmith makes for a good streamer. Pittsburgh hasn't played all week until Sunday, so DeSmith will be a little bit cold, but he'll be rested, so he could potentially put up a pretty good performance against the San Jose Sharks. Then I have Keith Kincaid, and with Georgiev on the list, Kincaid is going to start either Sunday or Monday because the Rangers play both Sunday and Monday. They play Sunday against Tampa, and they play Monday against the Oilers, so they could want to rest up Shesterkin for that game against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So there's a very good chance Kincaid ends up starting on Sunday, unless Georgiev gets back. If Georgiev gets back, he's the guy you want to stream. Then I have Karel Vejmelka of the Arizona Coyotes, and Wedgwood just let in 7 goals in a game and lost in a shootout. So not his finest performance. I think they go to Vejmelka for their next game, which is on Sunday. So he should definitely be getting the start against Dallas. Obviously not my favorite matchup because Arizona sucks, but he should definitely face a lot of shots at the very least, which could be very helpful in point-based leagues. Then I have Lankinen and Delia. As I mentioned earlier, Chicago plays both Saturday and Sunday, so one of those guys is going to start Saturday, one of those guys is going to start Sunday, unless Fleury comes back, which seems unlikely at this point. So be ready to stream one of those guys if there is nobody else available. Really not my favorite matchup, though, against Calgary. So jumping into the categories league section of the video now, and the number one guy to add for me is Rickard Rakell. He shoots on average 3 times a game, which isn't the highest amount in the world, but is the best guy available for streamers. Then I have Jesper Bratt, who's been shooting 2.8. Zucker on the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2.7. Zacha, 2.4. Craig Smith, 2.4. Philip Zadina, 2.4. And Robbie Fabry, 2.3. Might start shooting a little bit more, considering that he's on the top line, though, this week. If you need blocks, the number 1 guy and number 2 guy to add are Braden McNabb and Zach Whitecloud. They both block 2.4 shots per game on average, so in 2 games, you should get about 5 blocked shots from each of these guys, which makes for a pretty good ad. Then I have Connor Murphy, 2.3, Jake McCabe, 2.3, Ryan Lindgren at 2.2, and then Danny DeKeyser, 0% owned at 2.0 if you're really desperate. Moving on to hits now, and the number 1 guy to add for this weekend is obviously Ryan Reeves, only 6% owned, but hits 4.3 times per game, which is absolutely crazy. Same thing with Nicolas Deslauriers. He's actually also been hitting 4.3 times per game, so both excellent ads if you need to catch up in the hits category. Then Garnett Hathaway, who hits 3.8 times per game and has a little bit more than the other 2 guys of an upside to put up some points as well. Then there's Connor Clifton of the Boston Bruins, who hits on average 3.2 times per game. Moving on to face-off wins now, and the number 1 guy to add is Jonathan Toews, and it's not even close. He wins almost 12 face-offs per game, which is absolutely insane. In 2 games, you'll get 23 face-off wins about, which is absolutely fantastic. Then I have Nico Hischier and Michael McLeod of the New Jersey Devils, both pretty low owned, and Hischier wins 10 face-offs per game, and McLeod wins 9.5, both excellent options for this weekend. And last but not least, I have Lars Eller of the Washington Capitals, who's 14% owned right now, but his ownership percentage should be going down because he's not playing on the top line with Ovechkin anymore, and he wins almost 9 faceoffs per game on average. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow me on Twitter, guys, at FantasyTipped. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped. Cheers, and here's to a healthy and happy new year.